Cyber Uncut. Discover the changing face of business, government and national security as Australia navigates the cyber revolution.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter what time of day it is, you are tuned into Cyber Uncut, the Cyber Daily Podcast. My name is David Hollingworth, and I am joined by...
Daniel Croft.
I like the way you make it sound as though you're an AI recording. I am Daniel Croft.
I promise you I'm not. I'm just needing to adjust this. There we go, that's better.
Yeah. How's your week been?
Good. Pretty standard. I had a weekend of doing absolutely nothing, so I felt quite refreshed.
And then straight into the crimes and AI.
Yeah.
Well, let's get straight into the AI
Yeah,
before
let's
we get
start
into
with
some
AI, yes.
crimes, because what a week for crimes.
Yes.
But let's kick off with artificial intelligence, as we always do.
Yes.
Now, you wrote a yarn this week about banks wanting ATO data to combat fraud.
Yes.
Now, there's something wrong with that sentence as far as I'm concerned. What exactly do they want?
So, thanks to AI, people who are lending money from banks, they're increasingly using AI to write fraudulent applications. This would be forged pay slips, proof of income, things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if banks had access to ATO data,
Yep.
they could verify that independently and they would reduce fraud. So Simon Birmingham, CEO of the Australian Banking Association and former finance minister.
I thought it was that Burmo,
Yeah, that guy. Said the wave of dodgy loan applications is a major issue for the banking sector and it's getting worse. So he said, AI is making fake pay slips and doctored statements frighteningly easy to produce. This was at a Senate committee hearing into productivity levels. He said the single best defense against fake income documents is real income data, and the ATO already holds it. He's speaking with Yahoo Finance. He kind of elaborated on this. He said, a single authoritative source of income data is the most effective way to address the risk of fraudulent loan applications. Secure consent-based access to ATO-held income information would give lenders a robust central point of truth, materially improving the integrity of lending decisions. Now, this isn't an easy thing for the ATO to do.
Yeah, now I think about it, it actually kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
Look, the logic is sound.
Yeah.
In my mind. Of course, I would want, quite a lot of
checks and
oversight
balances, yes.
into how it's used, but this isn't really a decision for the ATO either.
No, it's not.
So the government would need to amend the Taxation Administration Act, and the recent budget allocated millions to build infrastructure for investigating open banking reforms, and that would allow this data sharing to occur.
Yeah.
Now, the banks want this change made soon. They want this done ASAP. AI is only getting worse. Because reports last month revealed that there might be around $4 billion in fraudulent mortgage loans that have been used to buy homes in Australia.
4 billion!
4 billion. Yeah.
It's not a small number.
Yeah, so Birmingham, again, with Yahoo Finance, said that the government's budget and exploration are very welcome, but we need this done now. He said banks welcome the government commitment to explore granting access and recognise there are important considerations required, but hope these processes can progress as quickly as possible. Currently the government's reportedly working on a register of dodgy or fraudulent mortgage brokers.
Ooh, okay.
So any that have done deals linked to illegal activity, according to the AFR last month. There's also new compliance rules for the real estate sector. For workers, requiring that verification of funds requires it to be stricter.
Yeah, look, that makes sense. And I've got to say, I don't know if you were here for this, but I remember, and this is absolutely illegal, bad thing to do, no one did anything with it, but somebody in the office did a test of, could you get ChatGPT to fake up a receipt? And it is trivially easy.
This was a few years ago that we did this.
Yeah.
And I think
it was a few years ago, wasn't it?
I forget who did it. But it was a case of all right, I've got a receipt.
Yeah.
Recreate this with the current date.
Yep.
And then it was like
this value.
Yeah, and now let's make it look like it's scrunched up. Let's make it look warm.
And with photographs of documents now being so widely accepted, especially for instance when we put in our expenses every month, we can take a photograph of a receipt. And suddenly
very very easy to be like, actually I spent this much, or change the date so you can go, actually I want to get a refund or return this.
Yeah.
Or walk out of a store with a product that is apparently on there. Oh yeah, I bought a plasma TV from you guys 2 days ago.
Who still buys plasma TVs?
Oh, I don't know. This moron. Yeah, I bought a mini LED or something like that TV. Here's my receipt. Now let me just walk out of the store with it. It's
wow. Yeah. Okay. Cool. 4 billion, you say?
4 billion
no
in
wonder they want
mortgage
access
loans.
to ATO records.
Mortgage loans
alone.
alone.
Moving on from fraudulent AI loan applications, we're talking about real AI and real sovereign AI with the establishment of a new Australian AI firm called Maincode.
So it's not quite sovereign. It's not like a ground up AI. This is a product. But yes, Melbourne startup Maincode announced that their Matilda AI coding agent, which they announced last year and demoed late last year, is now in beta access, so people can actually go and try it. Now, we had a look at the site. Our colleague on Defence Connect actually wrote this story, Rob Doherty.
Thank you, Rob. Yep.
It's like an AI that shows it's working.
Yeah, and well, you can see it thinking in real time.
Yeah.
What sources it's going to, what inferences it's making from those sources.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's kind of cool.
It is kind of cool.
Yeah.
The other thing is that it is it's Australian-based data, as in it's oriented for the Australian market.
Yeah.
Which is cool as well. Now, this kind of got me onto a discussion. So Rob wrote this piece, and I was like, look, I might make some tweaks, and I ended up writing another 700 words. Pretty much talking about the different Australian companies making AI models. There's Jinan AI made by the Sovereign Australia. And that's, again, not a ground-up AI. That's based on Meta's Llama 3.1 architecture and uses Australian data. But it brought me onto the discussion of, should Australia have sovereign AI?
I would say that's a yes.
Well, Australia and the CSIRO says yes.
Yeah.
They say that this would allow us to control AI use better, improve national security aspects, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
However, I found a article by, I'm trying to find her name, here we go, research professor at George Washington University and co-principal investigator with the NSF-NIST Institute for Trustworthy AI in Law and Society.
All right.
Yeah,
cool.
there we go.
Seems legit.
Susan Ariel Aronson. Now, she is an American, and she wrote this post. It was for the United States Research. I forget what the blog was called. Arguing that Australia should not have sovereign AI.
Well, I'd like her to show her working for that one.
Well, her kind of main argument was that, look, I get what the CSIRO is saying. It would do all these things. But look, the US already has all of this fantastic AI. And for the Australia now to invest in building a ground-up AI late to the picture would be expensive.
True.
It would be time-consuming.
Yep.
It would be incredibly risky and a great way to annoy the taxpayer.
I don't know. I mean, the trick there is in having the leadership to sell the idea to the electorate that we need sovereign AI capability.
Yes.
And I think it's there. And all we need to do is look at how US government suddenly turned off Claude and Mythos, because they're worried about national security.
Exactly.
So if that's always hanging over our head, if all our models are based upon overseas American models, and we must admit that these American AI giants are getting increasingly political.
Yes, they are.
The race to that kind of high-level, next-level frontier AI and the race between the US and China, it's all about national security, which means as Australia, we're kind of outside of that loop.
Well, I've also heard, I know some people have mentioned not wanting sovereign AI because that means more data centers here and blah, blah, blah. We're getting them anyway, except they're not ours.
We are getting them anyway, whether you like them or
in
not.
Utah, I heard this morning. In Utah, they're building one that is 63 square miles. It will use... verify me on these facts. It was from a TikTok or an Instagram video, and I don't remember them exact. But I think it was something like it will use the energy, double the energy Utah does now. Yeah, yeah.
Good grief.
Yeah.
For those just listening, I'm blinking a lot in surprise.
I think it was Utah, and there's another data center that NASA owns in Utah.
Yeah.
And this new one is 200 times the size.
Good grief.
Yeah. And, you know, if...
You know, when the AI bubble bursts, there's going to be a lot of compute left over.
Yeah. Yeah, there is. I mean, which, depending on how you look at it, is good or bad.
Yeah. But no, I believe Australia should have and shouldn't be afraid of the journey to sovereign AI.
I don't think we should be either. I know there's the whole argument. Yeah, again, we're going to have these massive data centers here. Would you rather our 63 square mile data center? I'd rather it not be there at all. But if we've got one, would you rather it be for us or for them?
For some reason, it reminds me of this great little World War II history factoid when they were standing up the big mega factories to make bomber aircraft, and they were using the assembly line method, which was still relatively new at the time, right?
Yeah.
So they had this huge, long factory floor where, you know, you start out with basically a bunch of beams and bolts, and by the end of it, you've got a full B-17 flying fortress. But the very end of it turns into an L shape, because they needed to keep it on a plot of land which had a particular tax lack of burden on it, and that was the county line. So they just turned the assembly line to the right to keep it on that county land. And I just imagine, you know, huge data centers kind of doing the same to take advantage of tax breaks or what have you. These weirdly shaped gerrymandered data centers.
There's not really. It's not really much you can do except go tall if you
tall, yeah. And hey, look, data centers in space, which is the worst idea ever.
I mean, it would be less impactful on our environment, I suppose.
The argument that people have for data centers in space is just, you know, but it's cold up there. It's great for heat. And it's like, no, it's the opposite. It's bad for heat. Yeah. Bad. There's nowhere for the heat to go.
Yes.
Anyway,
true.
On that rather eclectic end to that segment, we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back with cybersecurity. Welcome back to the Cyber Uncut podcast. He's Dan, I'm David. Now, last week, we talked about Origin Energy, and within a few hours, our segment on the podcast was out of date.
I was on my way home yesterday on the train, and I saw, and you may have seen it.
I didn't, actually, and I'm glad you spotted it.
I mean, people listening.
Yes.
There was a clip of us saying that there was like 2.8 million people potentially affected. That was out of date. Our numbers are very different now.
Yes, it's looking like 900,000.
Yes.
Because Origin Energy has come up with an update to their cybersecurity incident. Now, no threat actor has claimed responsibility for the hack yet. Every morning I wake up and I check our threat feeds just looking for Origin. Of an evening, my watch goes off with an update from Venari X, and I'm like, is that Origin? No.
Yeah.
No, because I want to break that story.
Yeah.
But anyway, so here's what Origin CEO Frank Calabria said. This is on a July 28 statement. He said that they've now completed the initial phase of their investigations. And, you know, it's worth pointing out that this is a non-trivial thing to investigate when you have that many customers. And he said, at this point in time, we believe the information of approximately 900,000 current and former customers was accessed. He apologized and said, we don't take for granted the trust customers place in Origin and our safeguarding of their information. They are continuing to work very closely with the Australian government and other agencies, including the Australian Cybersecurity Centre, National Office of Cybersecurity, and the Australian Federal Police. And they're also working with the Office of the Australian Information Commissioner. That's almost 1 million Australians. And the thing is, it's not even the biggest data breach Australia's
not
had,
even
but
close.
Still up there in the nearly 7 figures, high 6 figures.
Yeah,
it's certainly non-trivial.
On a critical infrastructure provider as well.
Yeah. I mean, you know, there was no disruption there. It's purely a customer bucket that was accessed.
Yes.
But one of the things that's making this incident quite interesting is what Calabria referred to as considerable media speculation, because apparently the hacker came forward to a couple of news outlets, I think in particular the Australian.
Yep.
And has basically said, I've come to an agreement with Origin. I'm not going to publish. Everything's fine. And so people are now going, did Origin pay?
Yeah.
And so it sparked that old chestnut of, you know.
That's a sneaky tactic by the threat actor.
It really is. And I want to call out some commentary from Robert Potter. He's the founding partner of the Cyber Activities Group and CEO of Internet 2.0. And he has some problems with the way the Australians gone about this. He said, media engagement is a regular and deliberate part of modern cyber extortion. These are multi-layered pressure campaigns by seasoned criminals. Attackers contact journalists to increase pressure on the victims, establish credibility, accelerate disclosure, and turn a private negotiation into a public crisis. This is a deliberate part of the campaign to force companies to make a payment. Journalists are therefore not passive recipients of information. They can become part of the pressure mechanism, even where they're acting entirely in good faith. Now, I think that's an important point he's got, and
Yes.
not just because we weren't the ones that the hacker came to.
Yeah.
It's just we deal with this all the time, being
Yeah.
aware that we may well be making life more complex for the victim.
It's a really, really hard thing to balance
Yeah.
because obviously we want what's best for the victim, but by doing what we do, are we always doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I'm a firm believer in that what we do is public interest journalism.
So am I. And I think
but-
we take as many safeguards as we can to try and ensure that we are.
And we're always very, like if you need time to give us a comment, take the time.
Yeah, we do our
we're not here
best.
to blame. But I think Potter here has an interesting point to make is, it's very easy to become a part of the problem.
Well, yeah, it's cyber criminals also almost work on the same kind of thing as like terrorists do, where publicity is your friend.
Yeah.
Anonymity, but publicity.
Yeah.
And that's part of what we turn into.
Yeah, I mean, you look at various ransomware groups out there, they will keep lists of articles written about them and their victims. Look at shiny hunters, pay or become the next headline. They're very aware of the media pressure that victims are under when these things happen. But on the other side, if we're not reporting on this, then no one is. And I am certain, as I'm sure you are, there are people out there who have been hacked and would never have said a thing, never have informed their customers if we hadn't.
There'd be
gotten into the
companies that may
conversation.
have never even noticed.
Well, there's certainly that. That's actually a good segue into Court Services Victoria.
Yes.
Now, this is one we've been sitting on for a little while. As I said, we often work with victims to make sure that their disclosure timelines give them enough time to come up with statements. And in this case, our old friend, 2019 is back in business, and on July 15, he listed data belonging to Court Services Victoria.
Yeah.
That he said, or they said, was linked to Bendigo Law Courts, but the breach was actually far wider than that. And 28,000 odd lines of data, all court records. And what we're looking at is things like links to WebEx meetings. So where legal proceedings are happening online, you can dial into it. And he's managed to find some of these passwords and URLs for these meetings.
Yeah.
He's found case data involving who the lawyers are, their email addresses, names. If there's an observer in the case, he's found some of that and published that data. And so I really wasn't surprised when Court Services Victoria were like, we need some time on this one.
Yeah.
Very sensitive data affecting, the Children's Court of Victoria was caught up in this one. But anyway, this is what Court Services eventually did come back with us. They said they're aware of a data security incident impacted the Magistrate Court of Victoria and the Children's Court of Victoria. This is from the Chief Executive of Court Services Victoria, Louise Anderson. She said the incident led to unauthorised access to some information used to link court participants to online hearings. The minute they discovered this had happened, they did all the usual. They locked their systems down. They strengthened their security. They're monitoring the systems for further access. They've notified all the relative authorities. They're doing everything. And the data involved, well, some of the data access is already the public record. We're talking case titles and numbers, hearing dates, courtroom numbers, participant names. Some of the data included email addresses or a description of the person's role in the matter, which is outside of the public record. So a nasty one, honestly. And what's wild is that 2019 is giving this data away for free on a hacking forum.
As he does.
Yeah. Which is what's particularly weird is some data they sell, some data they don't. So it appears they're trying to build this is purely supposition. They're trying to build a reputation with all of these remarkably valid high-profile hacks. And when they think they've got data that's really worthwhile, they sell. Yeah. And they usually only sell to one person because I've seen their listings disappear from this hacking forum. So they were quiet for a bit, And they've been quiet since then as well. This is back on July 15 when they made this post.
Yeah, it's weird because it was a case for a while where we'd come in and every single day, oh, there's 3 more 2019 hacks. There's another 3, there's another 4, there's another 2.
Yeah.
And now, radio silence until there's a big drop like this.
One, yeah. And I think they've made 36 posts, each one more or less a leak post. They've commented on a few other posts in the forum. Apparently they're into soccer.
Hey, there you go.
That's about the only thing until
what
we
did
know.
2019
Except for the fact they may be Australian. Just because all their victims are Australian makes you think they're Aussie themselves.
I wonder, 2019, who do you go for in the World Cup?
Reach out, let us know.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you about that, but we won't pressure your victims. Now, also, another thing we covered last week is the Hugging Face OpenAI incident, which continues to be kind of fascinating. To recap, one of OpenAI's cybersecurity agents went wild, broke out of its sandbox, found internet access, got into Hugging Face's network, all in order to solve an AI benchmark.
I've seen headlines that suggest that the AI may have gotten into a lot more than just Hugging Face as well. It's
and there are all these theories around OpenAI has no idea what it's got in its hands and is basically doing damage control to try and all of that. And the other one where OpenAI knows exactly what it did, and this is guerrilla marketing.
And Hugging Face changed their tone because originally they were like, "Oh, we're getting a lot of help from OpenAI. This is good," and then they're like, "No, OpenAI planned this." It's a weird one. Yeah.
But anyway, so unsurprisingly, given the absolutely unprecedented nature of this incident, a lot of people in the industry had very, very strong opinions on it.
I bet.
So I'm just going to share a couple now because I think they're worthwhile. This is Peter Danhue, co-founder and CEO of Secure Code Warrior. He said incidents like the recently reported autonomous attack on Hugging Face servers by rogue OpenAI agents, I love the way that sounds, might seem like a quirky anomaly or perhaps too sci-fi to be truly dangerous. However, this signifies a crucible moment for our industry. I mean,
I completely agree.
He went on to say, it's great that the Australian government is taking steps on AI safety, but they'll be caught in the speed trap if they do not move faster in regulations with considerably more technical depth. AI is already escaping its guardrails. AI is already attacking autonomously. If it takes a widespread international incident for people to pay attention, it will already be too late. I mean, it's a bit grim, and it might sound alarmist.
But he's right.
Yeah. What's the quote from one of the Marvel TV series? He's out of
he's out of line.
But he's
something like that. I don't know.
Ian Rogers, Chief Human Agency Officer at Ledger, said AI capabilities are advancing much faster than the security models that govern them, and incidents like this show exactly why that matters. The problem isn't that AI is becoming more capable, it's that we're increasingly allowing capable, connected, and probabilistic systems to take actions that require deterministic controls. I think that's a really fine distinction right there. And he says the fact that, this happened in one of the world's best resourced AI labs. Soon there'll be millions of AI agents connected to our email, calendars, financial accounts, and enterprise systems. What feels exceptional today will quickly become commonplace unless we build security into the architecture from the start. Also, correct.
Yes.
Niraj Naidu, Regional Chief Technology Officer for ANZ at Rubrik, he called it a wake-up call. Correct. AI is completely outpacing static controls, and the future of cybersecurity is humans working hand in glove with AI to detect, contain, and remediate AI-driven attacks at machine speed. I mean, that's just the basics right there. Human in the loop. Absolutely necessary. Adrian Kovic, Vice President Systems Engineering, APJ at Proofpoint. He said the incident underlines a broader challenge as Australia continues its rapid adoption of AI. The government has also commented this week on the potential risks of a new Chinese model, Kimi K3, from Moonshot AI, and the importance of closely monitoring these updates. Because that's also, and we talked about that earlier, the fact that the United States and China are absolutely in a technology war at the moment.
Yeah.
And I don't think either country knows where the endpoint is. They just want to get to that endpoint first.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe it's this big AI arms race that Peter Thiel
It really is. Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. Just one of many arms races happening between those.
There you go,
those two mighty
Palantir. You
nations.
got what you wanted.
I mean, there's also and I need to follow this one up. There's a grassroots movement in the US, mostly put together by young people. Bless the kids are all right. Called Quit GPT. And they're actually calling for a boycott of Chat GPT. And I'm like, yeah, all right, more power to you. I'm about that. Yeah. But clearly that incident caused and is continuing to cause a lot of ripples. I've only skimmed it, but Hugging Face came out with a full forensic timeline of the attack and what happened and each step of it. And as you said, it really didn't sound like they were at all happy about it.
No. I think initially they were like, "Oh, cool, we're working with OpenAI on it. This is cool." No, they wanted data.
Yeah, they wanted data. Pretty much. And again, staying with crimes, but this time nothing AI related, and more of an insider threat than a breach, but nonetheless a data breach. The New South Wales Cybercrime Squad charged a nurse late last week, I believe, over an alleged data breach. And the police are alleging that this nurse, a 59-year-old male nurse, accessed patient data and downloaded it to their private devices and then took it off-site.
Why?
Motive hasn't been established at this point in time, and it's all allegations, but the person has been arrested and will face local court on 19th of August. And here's what the Cybercrime Squad's commander, Detective Superintendent Matt Croft. Wait, was he the guy we had at the summit year before last year? I think he might have been.
I think he might have been.
Cool guy. Anyway, he said the moment New South Wales Health alerted us to this breach, Cybercrime Quad detectives acted quickly to seize the devices and recover the data. These devices are now being examined by specialists to determine whether there has been any further sharing of the data. Initial inquiries indicate the data, while being accessed illegally, appears to have been contained to the individual. Incidents such as this alleged access represent a clear breach of professional and community trust and will be treated with the utmost seriousness. New South Wales Police will continue to work collaboratively with New South Wales Health. And it's an interesting one because most of the time when you and I are talking about cybercrime and data breaches, it's
a hack.
Offsite network access, it's a hack.
Yeah.
But these insider threats are just as dangerous when
Absolutely.
it comes to data privacy as any Russian strip kitty in their mum's basement, which is the case. No one does that anymore. It's a horrible trope. But yeah, so I just thought that's an interesting thing to bring up, that you also need to worry about people inside your perimeter, not just people outside your perimeter.
Unfortunately, humans inherently are vulnerabilities.
True.
We are
yes,
guilty.
Yes. Guilty as charged.
But that's from a cybersecurity perspective, as well as like just an accidental or intentional
that's the thing. Like,
theft of data.
What if it was done with the best of intentions, like literally taking some work home?
Yeah, I was just thinking that, like he might be going through a patient's reports and going, "Oh, I really want to get to the bottom of diagnosing." I'm no doctor, obviously.
I'm not a doctor.
But just like maybe just having a bit of more think about a difficult diagnosis or something like that.
But if there was some kind of malicious intent behind it, I'm just genuinely curious what the motivation was.
Me too. If there is a malicious intent behind it, though, lock him up.
Lock him up. Absolutely. Throw away the key. No. Let him learn the error of his ways. All right. We're going to take a short break, and we're back with a couple of new. I'm not sure if we call them good news
pieces.
They're
not bad
but
news.
They're not bad news.
Yeah.
We'll be back. You'll hear about them in a moment. Welcome back to Cyber Uncut. Let's talk Australia. Let's talk the ACMA. Let's talk eSafety. Everybody loves eSafety. We'll get to eSafety. But to begin, the ACMA is taking Optus to court over its 2025 outage, which impacted the 000 network.
Yes.
And this will, you know what, for a lot of people, it'll probably be like, yes, good news. They should be taken to court. The ACMA found out that Optus Mobile breached its legal obligations on 1,005 occasions during their outage by failing to provide customers with access to either the 000 service itself or the ability to get to the appropriate termination point, i.e. ambulance, police, fire, what have you. ACMA Chair Nerita Lachlan went on to say that Australians rightly expect that when they call 000, their call will connect. The circumstances of this outage meant that did not reliably occur, leaving people unable to connect to potentially life-saving services.
What was the cause again? Was it a bad update or something?
It was a bad update.
Yeah. That was
It's one of those things that, if it happens on your home computer, you're like, that's annoying. If it happens on a national telecommunications network, that's more than annoying.
I mean, you had to do it for your laptop today, and all it meant was that the podcast was slightly later.
5 minutes late.
Yeah,
it didn't just mean 000 fell over the entire country.
And we've just had Telstra just passing.
Yeah.
Vodafone had an outage earlier in the year, but no 000.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if in a few months we go, well, so this time next year, the ACMA will be doing a similar thing with Telstra.
Well, the same thing happened. It was big numbers, but anyway.
She said that providing access to emergency services was not optional. agree. And described it as the most important public safety responsibility telecommunications providers have. I mean, I can't
disagree with that. Yeah.
Now, yeah, yeah. She said the recurrence of a major network outage affecting emergency calls so soon after the November 2023 outage is a significant concern. And one of the reasons the ACMA has decided to take this matter to court.
Optus has had a bad run. They've had leadership changes, hack 2 outages.
Yep, absolutely.
Give them a break.
However, and I have heard people grumble about this, the maximum penalty is $250,000 for each alleged contravention. So it could actually go a lot. It's not just $250 for the entire thing.
No.
It could be quite expensive
per contravention.
For yeah, that's $250,000 times 1,000. Add some zeros onto it. It's quite a lot.
Yeah, so it'd be adding 3 zeros?
Yeah, it's it'd be a non-trivial amount, and they could well be forced to pay
My
out
brain's not working.
your
I have a
calculator.
migraine. Yes, so 250,000 times 1,000
live math
is 250 million.
You know what? It still doesn't seem like much, does it?
I mean, it isn't a big.
It's more than a slap on the wrist.
Like, well, I mean, it's not like this big mega corporation on a global scale, like, you know, Facebook or anything.
No, ask Singtel, I guess.
Yeah, well, true, but Singtel will distance themselves as they have in the past.
We didn't do it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is not our problem.
But Optus themselves, 250 million. Bit of money.
Yeah, that's pretty much the bonus for one of their CEOs, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
Anyway, on to eSafety. Now, I know a lot of our viewers, listeners, readers have very, very strong opinions on
We
eSafety.
do too.
We do too, and they tend to
change
go back and forth
dramatically.
a lot.
Yeah. Maybe they're not that strong.
And this is, I'm going to say, this is again one of those places where I think eSafety has their heart in the right place, but whether or not what they're planning to do is practical. Anyway, what they're planning to do is sue Telegram. Telegram, widely considered to be a Russian messaging app. It's technically, its developer is Russian, but he now lives in Cyprus, and he actually has beef with Russia. In fact, actually, Russia's charged him with terrorist-related offences at the same time. So I imagine Durov is far more worried about the Russian charges than he is about eSafety taking him to court.
Yeah.
But anyway, so eSafety,
might be an out for him.
eSafety is taking Telegram to court over the lack of regulation of terror and pro-terrorism content on its platform. Now, you and I spend a lot of time on Telegram because that's where a lot of hackers are. And yeah, there is a lot of pro-terrorism content there.
Yeah, there is, yeah.
There's no argument there. Absolutely, it's remarkably easy to find it. Telegram doesn't do a lot to stop it, even though Telegram does say we have teams doing this. The fact is, the content's still there. The crimes are still there.
Yeah.
This is eSafety Commissioner Julie Inman-Grant said, this case concerns content linked to some of the most notorious acts of known extremist violence in recent history, including material associated with the Christchurch and Buffalo terror attacks. We allege that this content remained accessible in service long after Telegram had been put on notice. And of course, she brings up the painful aftermath of the Bondi terror attack, still fresh in the minds of all Australians. And ASIO's assessment that Australia's terrorism threat level remains probable. It is more important than ever that digital platforms meet their obligations to protect the community. Now, in its investigations, eSafety has found 6 instances where Telegram has failed to meet its obligations under the Online Safety Act's relevant electronic services standard. Failure to remove publicly posted terror material, failing to minimize the risk of future breaches, failing to detect known pro-terror material such as live-streamed stuff, failing to effectively disrupt and deter the distribution of pro-terror material, failing to have terms of service that prohibited users from accessing or distributing said material, and failing to inform complainants of the outcome of their complaints about unlawful material.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a pretty long list of stuff that Telegram isn't doing.
Yeah, but is anything going to happen out of this?
No.
We've already seen this with X.
This is the thing. Telegram, it's all the argument of if you do business on Australian soil, then you operate by Australian laws. But It can be argued that Telegram doesn't do business on Australian soil. It's merely accessed by Australians.
Yes, exactly.
So I think all of this is sound and fury signifying nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which eSafety does do quite well.
Unfortunately, yeah. And you know, again, I agree in theory. No platform is above
No,
the law, she said, and this action demonstrates that eSafety will not hesitate to use the full range of its powers to protect Australians.
I agree with that. I agreed with it when she did it with X.
Yeah.
It's just the outcomes of it are...
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Annika Wells, Minister for Communications, unsurprisingly welcomed eSafety's actions. She said Telegram needs to explain to Australian users and the federal court why it has allegedly not complied with Australian laws. Well, I mean, technically they do, but will they? I don't know. I can't even see Telegram paying much attention to this.
Telegram might not even realise that.
yeah.
A year later, it's
it's too busy dodging FSB agents.
Yeah.
And some interesting commentary here from Dr. Rob Nichols. He's a senior research associate of the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences at Sydney University. He was pleased by eSafety's move, but said it's going to be a bit of a challenge to follow through on it. The central issue is not whether any platform can prevent every harmful upload. That would be unrealistic. Rather, the question is whether platforms have credible systems to detect known terrorist material, respond promptly to reports, disrupt the accounts and channels through which it spreads, and prevent repeated redistribution. If the allegations are established, the concern is not simply that harmful content appeared, but it was allowed to proliferate through inadequate governance. And I think there's a point there. You know, it's not easy to stop this stuff.
No.
Especially on a platform like Telegram, which is so widely distributed. And again, if Telegram's found to be in breach, faces fines of up to 54 million, which again, doesn't seem much.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah, so that's the week's news.
It is.
Optus being taken to court, court services Victoria being hacked, and questions about Australian AI. What a week.
What a week.
What a week. Okay, that is enough for us. You can find us on Cyber Daily. You can sign up to our bulletin and get it in your inbox every morning and get a dose of David and Dan every single day. You can find us on socials. And for now, goodbye.
See ya.